My name's Amit Sharan. I'm the SVP of Marketing at Tatari. We're a TV ad tech company that helps brands buy and measure linear and CTV, and that includes the Super Bowl. So I am joined by 4 of our clients who have an ad in this week's big game, and they're here to share a little bit about everything that went into it. I want to start with some introductions, but I want these to be a little bit longer than the normal introductions. I want everyone to understand a little bit about your brand, the growth that you're experiencing, and any new products and things that you're excited about. Marcelo, let's start with you and Manscaped.
Thank you. Well, my name is Marcelo Cortez. First, I have to say that I love the name of First Time Confessions. I feel like I should be whispering. But I'm super happy to be at this stage, meaning here today, but at the Super Bowl spot stage. It's been a long dream for Manscaped. We tried a few times, even placed some bids for like overtime spot. The year that we didn't place the bid, the game went into overtime. So that was a very painful moment. But Manscaped, for those who are not familiar, came to life a few years ago when our CEO and founder, Paul Tran, was kind of tired of seeing people using kind of rusty scissors, not very safe blades to trim their private parts. And he saw an opportunity because there was a lot of men's grooming brands, but none were willing to talk about one of the very distinctive parts of the male experience, like it or not. So Manscaped became very famous with the groin trimmer, the lawnmower. That was our first product, our claim to fame. We grew really fast with that. And we started with a very D2C heavy, performance heavy marketing kind of ecosystem. But as we grew, our retail presence grew. Today we have, we sell at Walmart, Target, CVS, Best Buy, Harrods at UK and other places. Today we have a lot of different products for all over your body. So that made the perfect time for us to come to that stage because we have a very specific message that we want to say in a very simple and loud way. We had a very simple briefing. It was the shortest briefing, the briefest briefing that I ever did in my life. It was four letters and 1 slash. The letters were B-A-L-L, so ball. We slashed the B, all, because the message was from ball to all. We need people to understand that Manscaped now is much more than a ball trimming company. So because the message was so simple and direct, it actually allows us to do what we do best, which is facilitate conversations through humor. We had to do that in the beginning because talking about people's private parts was not that easy. And humor was a powerful tool to do that. But then, of course, we found out that this is very engaging. People love the voice. And it also, I do think that it positions us in a very different way than our competitors who are, brands that have been around for hundreds of years. They are very stiff. They're very square. So it allows us to show up and, kind of outsmart a little bit because we can't outspend them. That's for sure.
Love that you shared that ball to all. It's a brief that someone's going to remember for a long time. Will, let's go to you. Tell us about Row.
Sure. Yeah. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Row, we're a consumer healthcare platform. We connect patients to the most effective healthcare treatment in the most convenient way possible. And so that journey started for us in 2017. We built a telemedicine platform that allowed for a patient to interact with a physician and then for that physician to write a prescription and for a pharmacy to deliver that medication to one's door. The business started as Roman. We were really focused on men's sexual health. But the founders and the team, we realized that we built this incredible platform that really catered to treating a broader range of conditions than just where we started. So that's led to the evolution over time to Row. And really right now today our platform provides care in 4 main areas: weight management, sexual health, fertility, and dermatology. But I think in particular we found incredible success, incredible opportunity providing consumers access to this new transformative range of GLP-1 therapies that have come out. So we've all heard of Ozempic, Wegovy. These are medications that are really providing incredible impact for consumers and helping them achieve goals around managing their weight that they never thought possible or they'd struggled to do for much of their lives. And so with that, and with kind of the incredible opportunity that those therapies provide for so many people and a broad audience, right? You think about in this country, there are over 100 million Americans that might benefit from GLP-1 therapy, just given the prevalence of obesity and overweight in the United States. So from that, we've said, hey, we have an opportunity to really build a big, broad consumer brand. And then over time, we've been thinking about how we can use kind of broader brand building tools to do that. So television's been a major part of our story and journey, even from the Roman days, really thoughtfully testing, learning, scaling. And as we've launched and expanded in the weight loss category, that's been core to our approach too. And so even as we think about this being our first ever Super Bowl spot this weekend, it's really the culmination of a very long process of us being thoughtful about how we've scaled the brand, testing, running different sporting events, different content types, but always having the confidence to make incrementally bigger bets until we get to this biggest stage of them all.
Yeah, GLP-1 hot category right now. We're going to dive deep into that. Megan, tell us about Tecovas.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name's Megan Smith. I'm our Director of Media Strategy at Tecovas. Tecovas is a Western footwear, apparel, and accessories company. We're headquartered in Austin, Texas. We now have over 50 stores across the country and in select wholesale partners. So we've become truly an omni-channel Western lifestyle brand. But we started about 10 years ago as 100% direct-to-consumer, selling boots fully online. And at that time, it was only men's boots. And actually, even before the online sales, our founder, Paul, was selling boots out of the back of his SUV in Texas. So definitely coming from some humble roots there. But building on that e-com distribution, we have expanded men's cowboy boots, women's cowboy boots. We now have kids' boots, work boots. And this year especially, we're pushing into a lot of our apparel and accessories. So head to toe, Western dressing, cowboy hats, pearl snaps, denim for men and women, and really pushing, again, that lifestyle brand. And we have about 15, maybe 16 stores on the horizon. So that retail brick and mortar experience is really key to our expansion. And then we love our wholesale partners as well. So we are thrilled to be here and be part of the Super Bowl. It's a huge part of our journey to grow our awareness and keep growing the channels that we've rolled out over the last 10 years. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, huge growth for Tecovas. Mike, I heard you use an expression that you're the biggest brand no one's ever heard of with 100 million users.
Yes, indeed.
I think maybe a lot of people might know you for the family tracking app, but you're doing so much more.
Trying to. So raise your hand if you've heard of Life360 before today. Now, raise your hand if you use Life360. Okay, so you can see there's a bit of a difference there. So we are the biggest app. We have about 100 million users, but people still don't know us well. So what we're trying to do with the Super Bowl is sort of close the gap on that sort of non-user, non-aware problem, right, where people just haven't heard of us. We're not only a people tracker, but we also have pets and things in the app. So tiles, if people familiar with those, are also part of the product.
And I think you mentioned you're also maybe expanding into some ad products as well.
Yeah. So So from a revenue standpoint, we do have subscriptions for families, which is 2 or 3% of the overall user base, and we've recently rolled out ads to the other 97, 98% of the user base.
Okay, cool. So we're here to talk about the Super Bowl, but you all didn't just jump into TV with this buy, and I want to give the audience a sense of how you got to this moment. Will, you have probably been on TV the longest of the group, so I'll direct this to you. Could you just quickly take us through your journey of testing and then certain milestones that made you feel comfortable with bigger buys?
Yeah, so if I think about the, for our body brand and how we've scaled there, I think a lot of what we always wanted to do was start with a strategy where we're testing in content that might not have the price tag of a Super Bowl spot, but is reflective, for example, of larger content, larger bets we might want to make, right? So I think an example would be, like, we're obviously all thinking about NFL and NFL advertising this week. When we started advertising the body program, the first thing we ran in was preseason football, because we said, listen, us advertising in a preseason game in August is going to have an audience that's probably somewhat similar to what you might see in a pregame spot before a Sunday game, or a pre-kick spot or ancillary spot around the game, or an actual in-game spot. And so that thought of thinking about how do we walk, crawl, run, testing in comparable programming to what we might eventually want to scale to, and doing that over time. And I think most importantly, learning quickly, right? So we're not going in at the start of the year and saying we're going to do a big upfront buy and bet on all these different content things before we've gone through a process of really iteratively testing, and the Tatari platform has been very helpful in terms of giving us an understanding of how our media is performing, what it's driving for our business, and quickly taking those learnings and applying them back. So, really, as we did that to prepare for this Super Bowl spot, looking kind of back in time, one of the most important milestones last year was running in the streaming feed. So we were in the streaming only feed of the game. We didn't do anything differently creatively. We didn't develop a new creative for it. We had a great opportunity to get in there, and what we saw that consumers were more engaged with that ad than we would have normally expected for an airing of that size and scale. So I think Tubi has reported they had about 14 million viewers last year. We'd advertised the brand in World Series games and other events that were comparable or maybe even larger viewership. But I don't think we saw the same degree of engagement, and it comes back to the way people think about the Super Bowl, as not only a moment to enjoy the game, but there's a receptiveness and openness and interest in advertising and marketing and storytelling that brands bring to bear. And so seeing the data from that buy, it got us really excited to kind of pursue a larger investment this year. And so we'll be in the game, this Sunday, which is exciting and a big bet for us, but one we feel pretty confident about based on the data we've seen over the years.
So TV rarely operates in isolation. We hear clients talk about the halo effect it has on other channels, search, social, sometimes even retail traffic. Megan, would love for you to talk about this a little bit, because you ran an interesting experiment where you purposefully turned off TV spend for a period of time. Can you tell us about the impact of that and what you learned?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not something I necessarily recommend to all brands to just completely turn off a channel. That's been part of your mix, but we learned a lot. As you're saying, it was a bold experiment about a couple years ago. I'm sure we've all had these questions pop up of what is the true impact of TV or some of these more upper funnel or full funnel channels, and these were popping up more. We had been on TV for a few years, really at baseline performance marketing levels for us, with a few more premium moments in there, but really to answer the question and to truly learn the impact of TV, I partnered with our CMO to turn off the channel and see what the impact was to the business. And it was pretty immediate. I think we think about TV as a lot of times maybe a compounding longer term impact, but within 4 weeks of us turning off TV, we saw double-digit declines year over year in our traffic, not just in e-com, but in retail, same store foot traffic that we track as well. So immediate omni-channel impact. We also kept everything pretty stable across the rest of our mix. So we were able to identify that TV was very much a key driver in this. And then even looking at our lower funnel, you would think, okay, if we turn off upper funnel, like lower funnel will still save the day, but we were not able to spend into Meta and Google at our ROAS goals because we had significantly impact demand generation from the top down. So we very quickly identified that TV was a key driver in our business. We turned it back on, we stabilized, we started seeing some baseline growth again. And then actually we swung the pendulum the other direction and we leaned into TV, and we actually started, this was coupled with having some more brand forward, brand storytelling creative, but we started pushing into more premium ops, live sports, and really ramping up our TV budgets. And we saw the complete opposite. We saw extreme increases in direct and organic traffic, retail and e-com sales picking up dramatically. And again, we were able to give runway to our acquisition channels to accelerate acquisition and spend more because we were able to easily hit the ROAS goals. So really seeing the full funnel omni-channel impact, short-term and compounding long-term. And we're fortunate to still see a lot of this momentum coming through in traffic as we've kept this going over the last year or so.
Cool. I want to get to the fun stuff and show everyone's commercials, so we're going to make this question a little quick. For those who in the audience who don't know, there's a number of different ways you can show up in the Super Bowl, and it's represented very well across this panel. So both Row and Manscaped are airing ads across both linear and streaming TV. And then there is a streaming-only option on Peacock, which Life360 and Tecovas are doing this year. So I would just love if everyone can kind of talk about why that spot was right for them. Mike, why don't we start with you? Why was the streaming-only spot right for you?
Well, going to your CFO as a first-time CMO and asking for $16 million for the linear package may not be the best idea. So, for us, it's the right percentage of the overall budget. Today's digitally savvy families are on services like Peacock, so it just made sense for us to be there as well.
Megan, same question for you. Why streaming only?
I would echo the price was right for where we are in our growth journey at Tecovas, and we have paved the way with a lot of testing in college football, strategic NFL. We know that our audience is there, and so this was an opportunity that felt right and data-driven for us to take a bigger swing right now.
And Marcel, it's a little bit different for you, where you're going to be on linear streaming and also Telemundo, airing right before the national anthem.
Yes.
What was appealing about that spot?
The price. But for us, like having this wide reach was super important. That's why we wanted to have the full package. And also it plays a little bit with our expansion on our core demographics too. There is slightly more skewed towards where we over-index today on the linear side, and on the streaming side, and then on the linear side is where we are expecting to reach more people and expand our audience.
Cool. Yep. And Will, full distribution in the game. You mentioned you did the streaming only last year. Why was it right for this year to take the next big step?
Yeah, I think for us, we just find this year and this moment to be pretty incredible for our business, right? So we've launched a series of really high impact partnerships with Charles Barkley in April of 2025, and then Serena Williams in August of 2025. In both cases, they are real Row patients. They are on Row. They're on our platform. They are receiving the same quality of care that anyone here in this room or any American could go access if they came to us. And so we felt that we had a really incredible opportunity to tell a story from them, and one that was relatable and empowering. And so we have a creative with Serena Williams, really talking not only about how GLP-1s have helped her lose weight, but also how they've helped her achieve her health goals. So she's moving better, feeling better, health markers are in better shape. And so I think that confluence of really felt we had strong creative, strong opportunity. This marketplace is incredibly dynamic right now. So some of you may be aware that there's a new FDA-approved oral medication for weight loss. Novo Nordisk, the manufacturer of Ozempic and Wegovy, has launched an oral version of Wegovy. We partner closely with Novo Nordisk and offer that medication through our platform. And so also the opportunity to talk about that new offering. Novo Nordisk themselves will also have a Super Bowl spot this year. So just given all those dynamics, we felt it was important to make the most of this platform and get the broadest distribution we could get.
All right, let's jump into the creative. I like to say everyone becomes a creative director during the Super Bowl, right? Everyone has an opinion on the commercial. I would love for all of you just to share a little bit about what went into the messaging and the tone and the concept behind your ads. Well, you kind of just alluded to it a little bit, but if there's anything else you want to expand on in terms of the message you're hoping Serena Williams help you develop or share in your creative.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'd add is that I think many brands, approach Super Bowl creative really, seeking to, really grab attention, be provocative, get people laughing. I think for us, we think that the core message that Serena conveys is so powerful and so resonant with consumers that are seeking this therapy, contemplating, GLP-1 treatment, that we really wanted to double down on that and make sure that the connection to Serena and her story really shined and pulled through. And so we think that spot really does that, delivers on that, and really shows Serena and her power and grace and just incredible spirit really in this creative.
Cool. Can we play the spot?
I'm on Row, 34 pounds down on GLP-1s. Healthier on Row. Supported on Row. FDA-approved GLP-1 options. Now even in a pill. Weight loss expertise I trust. I'm moving better on Row. I'm feeling better on Row. I'm Serena Williams. This is me on Row.
Nice job. Marcel, your ads on TV have always taken a humorous approach to grooming and self-care. I know there's a high bar. Can you just tell us a little bit about your concept for this year?
Yeah, and another aspect of being at Super Bowl for my company who's known for their advertisements as well is that it is a place where people pay attention. So the expectation is really high. We had that simple briefing, so that helped because it was a simple message. So we tried to find, that human tension, that story that people connect to. And there was this very interesting aspect about hair that we don't mind hair when it's in our body, but the second that it leaves our body, it becomes something disgusting. We don't know why. And I'm not talking about pubes. I'm talking about hair here. We hate it, right? So we thought about hey, how do they feel about that? Because that's a point of view that no one takes, no one looks at. So we created this story. It is a funny story, but what's important in terms of delivering on the briefing is not only being impactful and engaging, but showing people that what triggers those monster hairballs that you see are the tools that remove hair from all over your body from Manscaped. So let's
take a look.
Once I danced upon your chest, covered your pecs, I did my best.
I was your scruff, your loyal friend, sworn to protect your dimpled chin.
But you stabbed me in the back
when you sliced me from the patch above your crack.
But with Manscaped I've met my demise, since you've chopped me from between your eyes
And that bridge between your thighs and the awkward part of your tries.
Now that you've left us for dead,
How can I live without your hair?
no matter how big or how small, we won't forget your face, your chest, or even your ball.
Great stuff. I think it's going to be a hit.
Thank you.
Mike, so Life360.
Oh, I get to follow that. Great. Megan, over to you.
Life360 shifted away from kind of direct response, heavy creative, to more brand storytelling that's usually provocative.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that the right approach for you?
Well, that was provocative in all the right ways. Huge kudos to you guys. I love leaning into the danger, so to speak. We do that too, but we take a slightly different tact. We use dark humor. We think that's sort of open territory in advertising, and especially the Super Bowl. So there will not be the same, round of applause at the end of this, because it is arresting. I just want to forewarn people on that. But we think that helps us to stand out, especially without a 9-figure marketing budget.
And from what I understand, this has not been released yet, or maybe just this morning.
Adweek exclusive, yes.
Okay, so
Embargo
it's the
over.
first time everyone's going to get to see it. Let's take a look.
Help! I've called the paramedics.
Oh, Liam got home safe.
And you won't believe it. You remembered his trumpet.
Oh, God. I forgot to let the dog.
It's okay. Liam's walking him right now.
Such a relief.
You got kids?
Family-proof your family with Life360.
I don't know if you heard her at the end, but she's alive. Everything's okay.
Megan, you're going with what you call an anthem, and it's a creative you've run before. Would love for you to tell us about the concept, but also just what signals gave you confidence of running with this versus trying something new.
Yeah, absolutely. So we took a different approach. A lot of brands come with a brand new creative. We're running with a creative that's actually been in market for some months now. It's our True West 30-second brand anthem spot. And really, when we were talking as a team, and our goal is to continue to introduce ourselves to the US, bring awareness to our brand, we still felt very strongly that this was the best representation of who we are, our brand values. And it's great to have the data points in a lot of premium opportunities over the last several months that show that it does resonate with consumers in football environments. We have the data points to show that it's driving response, even if it is more of this brand forward storytelling spot. So we have a good amount of confidence that I think it is an asset for us in approaching this streaming only buy. So we're really excited to bring it to new audiences. We've done saturation analyses with Tatari to feel confident that we would have a lot of runway to reach a lot more new incremental eyeballs still with this buy. So there's nothing like the Super Bowl. We're excited to bring it to its biggest stage yet. So.
Great, let's take a look.
The true West has no fences. There's an edge, but you gotta find it. Find comfort from the traditions that help define it, and the confidence from having the courage to defy it. But being brave isn't about being different. It's about being yourself. Now, we might not need more people in the West, but would it hurt to have a little more West in the people?
So we're coming up on time. We might have to do more of a rapid fire here on this last couple questions. So getting into measurement, we know the Super Bowl isn't just about the ad meters and Monday morning press coverage, although all that stuff is great. So if each of you could just let us know how you're measuring success here. Is there brand metrics? Is there direct response metrics? Part of a larger campaign? Marcel, let's start with you.
Yeah, for us, like time-wise, we have three waves. One is the first 72 hours, then 4 to 8 weeks, then the long-term effect. And beyond the traditional expected measurements like brand awareness, consideration, all those beautiful things, retail sales, sales velocity, the one thing that we are especially paying attention to is we track within our brand our authority perceived from consumers for each space, right? For groin, we over-index. For face, head, this is where we need to get better. So that's kind of the main metric that we'll be paying attention to in the post-Super Bowl.
Mike?
Yeah, so mostly awareness, like I said, not just for the spot itself, but for the campaign over several weeks to come. Secondary would be what we call intrigue metrics. So are people searching for us? Are they going to the website? Are they going to the App Store listing? And then we do MMM, right, to make sure that this is driving some, observable effect on revenue, but it's not definitely the primary.
Well,
yeah, I think a lot of longer term metrics, right? This is something where we're not going to be declaring victory or defeat on Monday. I mean, it's a months long horizon that we want to watch and view, and all the same type of brand metrics. We're doing a lot of tracking. I would say if you all are interested, our founder wrote a really detailed blog post that we published online that I think talks a lot about how we think about doing this buy, but also measuring. And so there's a lot of detail of some of the specific tools we're using. So I won't go into detail. We'll encourage you to read that. But broadly speaking, I think like others have said here, longer term horizon, it's something where we want to watch the impact over many, many months. And it's such a large spin that it's kind of unambiguous. The kind of before and after is relatively straightforward to draw because it's such a large, heavy weight of spin and impressions. So.
Yeah, and that piece that was written, I feel, is getting a lot of traction online. I think it was called The Economics Behind a Super Bowl Ad, so everyone should check that out.
It was pretty good. I actually used internally to, get more confidence. So thank you.
I'd say for any marketers in this room, hopefully it is helpful for you all to have in conversations with your finance and founders.
Great. Megan, short term, long term?
Yeah, we have a similar short term, long term scorecard per se as our friends here, but I think we're all about that immediate traffic spike and seeing what happens immediately with website traffic, and then looking at social listening, new social followers. Does that traffic spike continue with elevated traffic, and then longer tail, new customer growth, market share, awareness. So very similar to, I think, what the group is sharing here. But again, I will be on my computer on Shopify seeing what happens. So
I think we're out of time. This was very fun. All of us at Tatari, I'm sure a lot of people in this room, we're all rooting for you this weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.